software I have.
I get this question quite a bit. Storage auction list. Should I or should I not subscribe? Splendid with Making Money with Storage Unit Auctions. The title of this segment, Storage Auction List. Should I or should I not subscribe? First of all, I'm going to say I have never used a storage auction list. And if I was to get back in the game, I seriously doubt that I would, for the following reasons. You got to understand how the storage auction process works. First, the tenant's late. Then they file the lien status. This takes a matter of weeks. And understand that by the time that ad reaches either the local newspaper or the legal organ, the information is incorrect. It's inaccurate. And this is why. People are late for a ton of different reasons. Some people, they forgot. They're busy, something happened, lien status, they get that letter. Oh, they go in, they pay up, but that ad is still in the paper. And the people at the storage facility have really, really busy jobs. I mean, you think they just ride around in the cart. They have a lot of stuff to do. And often when you call them up, hey, is this unit, is this unit? They don't know. They're not even thinking about that. So essentially, when you make that phone call and they say they have 6 units and the ad reflected 15, you don't know which of the 6 that 15 are there. You have no clue unless you really know the manager well. So you got to understand that you have to do your own work. That is the thing that I am seeing. There's a lot of people who are trying to find that magic bullet, that quick and easy process. I've said from day one, and I'll say it again, this is some of the hardest work you'll ever do. And I'm not just talking about cleaning out the units, the extent of the hard work. It continues to be hard because this is the rundown. Well, day before the auction, here's a few tips for you. Call a storage facility 3 days before the auction. Why? Because the day of the auction is crazy. Because what they're trying to do is get as many of those delinquent tenants to pay up before they have the auction. So that's what's tying up the phone. They're trying to call these people, work deals, whatever. The 72 hours before the auction is when most of this activity takes place. That's why a lot of these lists are invalid. Also, you are going to have to create time in your schedule to do your research and make your phone calls and build your own databases. Sure, you subscribe to the storage list and it lets you know where some properties may or may not be. But if you are in a huge metropolitan area, you can't make all the auctions they're going to have. It's just, you've got to actually do even more research, because I may have not attended every auction in town on such and such given date, but you better believe I knew where one was happening, because opportunities exist to those who are prepared. And this is another reason. Stuff changes. Actually, I was preparing because I'm moving, and I found some old auction schedules. Here's like one from Public Storage, 2009. You see how it's printed up and everything? Neff Holt, she's gone. Managers either stay forever or they go quickly. Now, here's some from 2006. Notice the difference? Look at this. You got that one. Same company. That was, yeah, that's how the auctions were coming. Here's another one, 2006. And here's another one, once again, 2006. Now, this stuff, what's this? Yeah, here's another one, 2006 Public Storage. Now, why am I showing you this? Because all of these districts have changed. All the players and a lot of the storage auction properties, all that stuff has changed since 2006. And that's the reason you have to do your own work. And that's the reason you have to do your own work. Change is the only consistent element. Change is the only consistent variable in life. All of this stuff has changed. Now the numbers are the same and the properties are the same, but all the districts have been realigned. Everything's off the board. Now I'm telling you this, and I want you to pay attention, because by staying on top of your data, this is very, very important. This is more important than buying. Now I'm going to break that down to you. I stayed on top of this, and I had all of the phone numbers of every district manager, because whenever Public Storage does an acquisition, or someone says, hey, it's time to realign the districts, or this manager has too many properties and we're going to even it up, something always funky happens with the auctions. This being, it was one auction that was scheduled for a certain day. It didn't happen. But they still had to sell those units. And because I was on top of my information and I did the hard work, I had the manager's number. I called him up and he's like, yeah, we're going to do the auction on this day. On such and such day, get there. There are 4 of us there. 4. 2 I had never seen. 2 I knew very well, to the point I knew how much money they had in their pockets, because one guy, he never bid more than $200. $200, he was out. The other one, he rarely bid at all, and if he did, he would get crazy. And there was these, so essentially I was dealing with 2 unknown variables. Long story short, I ended up with 6 units for $850. 3 of them being 10 by 20s. Later on, as you're talking and you're swapping, you're telling, what you got, or you're lying about what you didn't get, I find out that a good friend had spent $1,200 on one unit that wasn't as good as one of my 10 by 20s. Yeah, you heard that right. One of the reasons that I was so successful, and you can call me egotistical and cocky, is because I did the hard work I did the grunt work. That's calling up these places. It's not easy. In my book, I'll even give you a tip. Some of these places, you're going to have to make a personal visit. Yes, that's what I did. There was places I called and they would never call me back. I left messages, and one day I just showed up and was like, look, I do this full time for a living. I'm not trying to be a pain. I just want to know when you have your auctions, and I would like to know when I call, just how many you have. I understand you may or may not know what's in the unit, but it's very important to me, and I broke it down for the lady because I have this list. And if you have an auction on such and such date and you've got 1 unit, and I know these other places have 5, 6, I'm going there. I'm not going to lie to you and say I'm going to come here. Then sometimes if I have nothing else to do and I may come, then that person, because I took the time to actually go in there, explain my situation, and talk to her, became one of my best allies and helped me get a very good unit. And when I say help, she didn't do anything funny. She didn't do anything illegal. She called me up and she said, hey, I have a person who just said they're not going to pay. I can't tell you what's in the unit, but you will want to be here. Went there. I didn't get it cheap, but it was worth it. And see, in the thing like this, and Castle and Addicts put it out there, he did, that thing you get that makes up for all the ones you break even on. This was more than that thing. This was the thing for the year, because in this business, you have got to work hard all the time. That's why I don't think a lot of people are going to make it, because they're looking for shortcuts and they're looking for ways to get out. And one person sent me a letter recently who got my ebook, and we went through this, and it was like, a lot of it's common sense, and I've been out there for a year, and some of this stuff I knew. And then he's like, some stuff I didn't know. And I was like, what exactly what things didn't you know? And I knew exactly what they were, because there are systems I did that to this day, there are people out there, they don't do it. There's a lot of people who are not plugged in electronically. They do not make use of the internet. to its fullest capacity. They're kind of like hit it here and there. I was running the internet like it was my personal bitch 7 days a week. That's what you have to do, as well as doing other things. And we had to talk, and he kind of admitted that, a few of the things that were in the book actually made a huge difference in his business. So I'm going to say this. If the book was $1 and you bought it and you did not apply all the principles in the book, it is totally worth it, and that was $1 too much that you spent. Because if you're not going to do anything with the information, if you're not going to apply it, it doesn't make any sense. But that's my deal on storage unit list. I mean, you can buy them if you want. It's your personal decision. But it only solves maybe 5 to 8% of your problem. Okay. You know where you know who's having an auction. Okay. That's great. But you still have to do your research, and you have to create your auction flow sheet. You've got to have a plan with this. And people used to laugh at me for like jumping and dipping around and stuff. They didn't know. I don't know how many auctions I ended up where I left a crowd of 30, 40. And see, the thing is, I got a picture up on my channel page. There was like 80 people at that auction, and this was years before the shows came on. Georgia's always been very, very competitive. There's a lot of people. People come from Tennessee, Mississippi, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, up to these auctions because there's so many. But you have to apply the information, and you have to do your own work. I'm serious. And I got another question. It's like, would you get back in the business right now with the shows going on? Honestly, if I hadn't got sick, I would have never left the business, and I would still be slugging it, because what's going on is the same people that were getting the really good units before I left are the same people who are getting the good units now, because they're plugged in. There are so many blogs and things going that, hey, it's easy, it's common sense. Okay, my question to all those folks, if it's so easy and if it's common sense, why aren't more people making six-figure incomes? Please answer that if it's so easy. It wasn't easy when I was doing it. It was easier, but I had Sam Yang, Mark Rowland, the Clampetts, Bill, Daryl. There was a ton of guys that came out 5, 6, 7, 8, 10K deep in their pocket, little face Benjamins when I started, and I had to deal with those mofos. So I don't want to hear all this crap about who, because essentially a lot of you are dealing with uneducated people that are out because they saw the TV show and they want to have fun. There's a whole different mindset on someone who's just coming out to casually buy a unit to take it home and versus someone who's making a living. Granted, these shows have made it harder for people making a living, but there are some people who are selling more than ever. Why is that? Knowledge. But please, in the comment section, if it's so easy, if it's common sense, why aren't more people making six-figure incomes if it's so easy? And I don't want to hear about the crowds and all this other stuff, because I had Mark Clampett in my ass for 2 years. Any unit I bid on, if she was there, she's going to bid on it. Anything I got around her was more expensive than it had to be. So I had Mark Clampett, Sam Yang, Spivey was kind of in my ass for a minute. We became friends. But I had personal enemies that every time I was at the auction, they were going to bid it up. Every auction. So I had to make a decision. Either I was going to punk out like a little pussy, or I was going to man up and win this bitch. Well, I wrote a book on it, so you tell me what the results. All right, this is Glendon with Making Money with Storage Unit Auctions.